So, I did not manage to upload a video last week. I will explain why I did not later on, but first let me tell you a story about how I got robbed by a city bus company. So I live in Auckland, a city that contains way too many people, and here we have a small thing that we use to help travel around called public transportation. Here in Auckland, public transportation has been very debatable in regards to whether it actually works, how many people use it, or whether the high fares for a 1 kilometer bus ride is completely justifiable. And there is one main public transportation company that runs most of the buses, rail, and ferry networks in the city called Auckland Transportation, or AT for short. Now, AT is a very innovative company. Unlike the other city public transportation in places like the United States or France, the bright minds at AT had found an amazing option that you could use to pay your very justifiable fare without using a ticket or debit card. So they came up with a very revolutionary feature that already existed for some time called wireless payment, and thus they created something called the ATOP card, which is basically a faint version of PayWave, Apple Pay, or an Apple Card. And like an Apple Card, it registers somehow a monetary value based on the balance that card has specifically. But unlike a card made out of titanium, the monetary value is not tied into any sort of credit system or bank system. No, the balance needs to be topped up on their website, which is a bit of a mess. More on that later. So, additionally to managing public transportation, they're also responsible for sending school buses to school and pick up students and drop them at their own house. Except they don't really do that, because welcome to New Zealand, we drop our students at actual bus stops, which reasonably they then walk to their homes with no fuss and the bus goes to the next stop and etc. Also, the buses aren't even school buses. They're literally city buses with a yellow sign attached to the front and back to distinguish it as a school bus. Innovation at its finest. So as a result, students hopping onto the bus have the choice to be either crammed onto a seat next to their friend or some random dude, or stand for dear life holding onto a yellow bar while the bus keeps stopping and accelerating uphill. But at the end of the day, most of us don't really care and we walk home with no broken bones. However, this story isn't about broken bones, so let's go back on that website a little bit. So in order to board the bus, you need to of course pay your fare and thank the bus driver using the appropriate currency of payment. But you also have the option to just hop on and tap your AT Hop card onto a special scanner that then takes away a bit of your life away. But since that AT Hop card has a monetary balance, the only way you can refill it up is either through the toll machine run by the bus driver at the front of the bus or online on AT's official website. Now, the events that happened when we had like COVID-19 restrictions in place. Thank the Lord now we don't have much restrictions, even though the COVID-19 is suddenly back out of nowhere. But back then, the restrictions made anyone who was boarding the bus to only enter through the back door of the bus instead of the front door, because the last thing you want to do is accidentally spit a deadly virus to the bus driver when saying thank you. Therefore, as a result, you cannot pay the bus fare using cash or anything else, so you had to use an AT Hop card. So it was a nice afternoon when my bus arrived through my school's bus bay, and the only bus that does so at my school for some reason. And when the back door opened, as expected, everyone rushed towards the door like it was Black Friday Part 2. And when I was boarding the bus, I already had my ATOP card ready in my hand, and so I scanned it onto the special scanner when I noticed that the balance is at a dead $0. Okay then. So the next day passed and I completely forgot about it until the next day when I had to board the bus again on the same bus bay with Black Friday Part 3 happening. And then when I tagged on using my card, I got an error. Insufficient funds. Crap. So my head is now being filled with complete dread, realizing I'm now boarding with $0 on a magic payment card, and so far the bus is also recording every single movement that I'm doing, and I'm probably gonna go to jail after this. But there's also a thing about AT buses, and it's that they're pretty chill. So if you board onto a bus with a broke AT Hop card or just didn't pay at all, honestly you wouldn't have Jacinda Ardern teleport out of nowhere and order the police force to arrest you. Plus I have even traveled on a school bus without having an AT Hop card or any cash. Please don't arrest me. So there I was now, awkwardly sitting on a bus seat, following the 1 meter apart rule that no one followed, and I was now contemplating my life as a criminal as a result of my actions. And then I walked back home and I asked my dad about helping to top up my card with a full balance, And then came the website. After logging on my AT account, I proceeded to then refill the balance of my card like every other civilian in Auckland. So $20 gets paid onto the balance of the card, and boom, done, story over. Never became a school bus hitchhiker criminal forever after, except it's not over, because the next day, I went onto the same school bus again and used the AT hop card that I supposedly already paid for, and then, to my surprise, insufficient funds. What? So again, after contemplating my life as a criminal, I arrived home and asked my dad on what the hell just happened with my refilled balance, and he doesn't know either. So we checked onto my account again, and I realized that the card we've selected to top up isn't being refilled. So I need to go on a bit of a side tangent here, because just a few weeks ago, back before lockdown became an actual thing, I actually lost an old AT card for some reason. To this day, I still have no clue where it is, and it currently has like $23 in its balance, so I need to get a new one reasonably, because I don't want to destroy my legs walking back home, and I also don't want to be a bus criminal TM. So then just before a nationwide lockdown came into effect, I got another AT hop card as its replacement. But the thing is that if you want to top up a hop card, in case of course it runs out of any sort of cash, you need to register it onto the AT website, which is basically the same logic as buying a gift card from a store, but like gift cards, they do have an existing value if you use it as, well, a card. So the AT hop card that I had already $20 of value onto its balance, but now it's gone, and I realized that we've never actually registered the card before. So where did the $20 go when we tried to top it up? So it turns out that there was this other AT hop card that I used back in 2018 for some reason, except I never used it because it had bus routes linked that my dad has gone instead. So I have no clue either where it came from, but what is clear is that we had paid $20 onto that card, and there was also this transaction pending table staring menacingly at our souls, and there was no way we could get it out. But then I remembered there was $23 still left on that lost AT hop card, and since I already registered that card, there was the balance straight smack down onto the website, and I was like, yes, why don't we just transfer the funds of that card onto my existing card so that way that gets refilled? Until I realized we also transferred the funds from that card to the card that somehow existed, and we cannot reverse a transaction because we cancelled it. Fuck. So $43 in total payments to this transportation company have somehow to this day lay completely static, with no way of retrieving it whatsoever to AT hop cards that do not exist anymore, and none of it is able to be paid onto the AT hop card that I'm currently using, and we cannot retrieve the funds from it either. So the moral of the story is, never trust a city council's website to handle plastic card balances, because most likely it'll get frozen under some whack-ass bug that no one from their technical department can fix. But anyway, I managed to register the other new AT card so I could not turn into a teenage criminal hitchhiking buses for the rest of my life. And so far, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. If all goes well, the pending transaction of $43 should be handed back in a few weeks' time if it doesn't get received by the card in some way, but most likely we'll get our money back. Hopefully. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This took way too long for me to do, and as a result, I didn't manage to get this video done last week, since I figured writing a 2,000 word script alongside having mid-year exams last week isn't a good combination. So I hope you would forgive me on now destroying my 8-week streak of uploading weekly, though I'm pretty surprised that I managed to last this far. But I would honestly feel more inclined to focusing on a I'll upload when I can upload sort of upload schedule instead of keeping with a schedule that I get stressed over from time to time. Hopefully soon, if I can manage, I'll redo another weekly upload schedule in the future, but for the meantime, oh god, there's way too much work for me to do. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this whack video with my voiceover commentary somewhat dying near the end, so I had to redo this outro so I would not sound like a dying yak. And I hope you have a good evening, good morning, and a good afternoon, and hopefully I could see you guys pretty soon. Stay safe out there, and see you then.